Woo-wee. What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. It is gotten cold out here again. Damn, I didn't realize it because it was actually nice today. I see that I got a damn Gina update. I'll check it out after I finish here my fireside chat. We got a team in the Texans that we're playing this weekend. And on paper, I got a piece of paper right here. On paper, the Cowboys are averaging 27.9 points a game. The Texans averaging 15.7. Running the football, we're averaging 145.9 to their 87. Passing the football, we're averaging 210 yards passing to their 191. Our takeaway differential is plus 9. Theirs is minus 6. Defensively, we're giving up 17.2 points versus their 23.5. We're giving up 129 yards on the ground. They're giving up 169. Passing, we're giving up 179 yards to their 209. And yardage-wise on defense, we're giving up about 309 yards to their 378. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me where I just keep yawning all the time. I've kind of been a toss and turn. I don't sleep real good at night anymore. I don't know what's wrong with me, but, you know, it is what it is. So on paper, we should blow them out. Brandon Cooks is out. They're putting David Mills back in at quarterback. Their other wide receivers out. I think we're like a 17-point favorite, I think. Something like that. I mean, it's insane the way it looks on paper. But this is a Texans team that has actually played some decent close games during the season. Shout out to them because this team has been gutted. It has been gutted over the years from J.J. Watts and DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson. All the key players that they had on this team that a few years ago was actually with Dan O'Brien, who decided he was Bill Belichick and thought he could go ahead and just make all kinds of crazy moves and that they would automatically work out. Getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins was the biggest mistake he made. And then, of course, replacing him with Randall Cobb, thinking, oh, yeah, that's the same. And it caught up to him. But this team is devoid of talent. But it's an interstate rival. What I worry about is, in the same way I look at the Green Bay Packers game, where that game may be the game we point to that really screwed up our season. That game, had we won it right now, we'd be in the driver's seat. Make no mistake about it. That game, had we won it, had we held on to win, we would be in fantastic freaking shape. The Eagles would be sweating bullets. They might be sweating bullets right now. Now, they take on the Giants this weekend that may or may not have Barkley, who is, you know, come back down to earth as the season has gone on. It's kind of worn down a little bit. On paper, the Giants shouldn't have a chance against the Eagles. But on paper, neither should the Commanders. So division games are crazy games. So you never know. The mistake, you know, we've had so much about Odell Beckham Jr., and you know what? I think I'm done with Odell. In fact, looking at the numbers that Odell's had the last couple of years, looking at the numbers from his rookie year where they've constantly been going downhill, I don't see why the Cowboys should spend that kind of money on Odell, especially when he says that the regular season doesn't mean anything. I'm just here for the playoffs. To me, that's selfishness. But the biggest mistake the Cowboys made, we can look back and say we should have kept Amari Cooper. And I can understand why they didn't keep Amari Cooper because of the money. Although you look at it now with Odell saying he wants $20 million, and you look at the productivity right now of Amari Cooper Amari Cooper, who has numbers that are just like CeeDee Lamb with more touchdowns, you say, hey, had we kept him, maybe this would be a little bit different. We wouldn't be going through the clown show of Odell Beckham Jr., where we're literally kissing his ass, begging him to come here. But the one, and I understand, because the Cowboys looked at it and said, we can use those resources elsewhere. And you can't argue with the fact that the Cowboys did find some good players. Instead of saying we're going to take Amari Cooper's money and we're going to spend it all on Von Miller, who's now done for the season, they went through and they found guys that fit the system that they were trying to run. They weren't big name players, players that you knew. These are guys that collectively the sum is greater than the individual. When you put a Sam Williams with a Dante Fowler, with a Dorrance Armstrong, with a DeMarcus Lawrence, with a Micah Parsons, you've got great players, Anthony Barr and Malik Hooker, with Cedric Wilson and Jaron Kearse, that you don't necessarily have any of the individuals other than Micah Parsons and Diggs and so on that are looking as great Pro Bowl locks. But you have a lot of guys that you can put into the breach that when you lose one of them, it's not a death sentence. See, in past years, we have been so top heavy that when we lost to Sean Lee and a Tyron Smith, that all of a sudden you go from about 90 yards on the ground giving up to like 180. That you lose Tyron Smith and you go all of a sudden and you give up 9 sacks in a game. That hasn't been the case because it hasn't been about a couple of players that are great ones and then, chicken salad with the rest. And this is where I think actually the biggest mistake that they made at wide receiver might have been Cedric Wilson. Cedric Wilson had about 680 yards last year. Cedric Wilson averaged like 13.5 yards per reception. The problem with Cedric Wilson was he could have had actually a lot more yards, but there was some miscommunication, I think, on some routes between Cedric Wilson and Dak Prescott. Dak is thinking he's turning to the left, he turns to the right, and so now the ball is on the opposite shoulder where he's facing. And in a couple of games, you've seen really deep passes that are right there, but he's right here. And that's where the miscommunication came in. And that's one of those things that comes through playing with somebody over time. Getting used to understanding your teammates. With a lack of practicing, like the NFL doesn't do, having guys that understand your system, and this is where, Stephen Jones says, we believe in our guys. We believe in our guys because they know the system. They've been in it. They understand what they're supposed to do. That's the reason why this defense took major steps. They had guys that understand what the subtleties of the defense were and where they're supposed to be. This is why you see so many teams that end up getting, they're exceptions to the rules, that get so many new players that now they've got to learn the system and mesh with the other players. It takes time. And in the NFL, you don't have time. But I think Cedric Wilson would have been better for us right now this year had we kept him. Because when you looked at having him playing when Michael Gallup was out, he was the number 3. He actually did really well for us, and that was the heyday of our offense. Now, granted, we had CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, but looking at this now, you got CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. If you had Cedric Wilson, we'd be in better shape. And here's where James Washington can come in. James Washington, I know, has the skill sets to be a better Cedric Wilson. It's just a matter of, can he be healthy? That is the question. Cedric Wilson was good for our offense, and I think James Washington can be as well. And I'm actually more on board with having James Washington out there. People will laugh at me for saying that, but look at the numbers. Over the course of the last 3 years, Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't had more than 680 yards in a season. And we have been going through and kissing that dude's ass and begging him like he's Michael Irvin at his peak. He's not that guy. I just hope that we on Sunday can go in, 1 o'clock game, it's early, stomp on them, get our points, get our, not giving up a lot of points, get our victory and stay healthy and go on to the next one. I don't want to see a game where it's in the third quarter, where it's close. I don't want to see that. I want to see from start to finish this team starting to put it all together. Because if we're going to be successful in the playoffs, we can't have a bad game by the offense and a good one by the defense, or a great game by the offense and a bad one by the defense. We need to start putting all of this shit together. We have what we need. It's just a matter of now playing together. All right, good people. It has been a lovely day. I've got so many wonderful people out there that have done so many wonderful things. I appreciate you. We're working on, if you've already ordered anything, and that includes you, Jacqueline Gnomes, you just ordered the shirt tonight, I can guarantee you everything will be in your house, in your hands, before, well, provided the post office delivers it, before Christmas. And if you're looking for anything for Christmas, any of the Joe Bardys or Racks or the Prince and stuff, start hitting me up sooner than later so we can get them done for you guys and out the door. As always, you know how we roll. I appreciate you. And remember to tell the people you love them. You might not get the chance again. And I love you guys. And God willing, I'll see you tomorrow.